1, 2, Test. Nee, doch, da sind wir.
Gave me a heart attack. Getting those certificates out, and I'm like,
Oh, sorry.
I was like, I'm going to go get a school and go back.
They were wondering whether the chairs could be there. I'll just tell them the camera crews are set up there.
Yeah, they'll be coming people out, so that may be. But that's better than some ones.
Yeah.
Everyone can see it. Who's playing the song?
Would you be able to introduce yourself?
So good morning and a very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here in the Senckenberg Research Institute and Natural History Museum in Frankfurt. And good evening to Yuendumu in Central Australia, where the Warlpiri community can follow through a live stream the ceremony event today in Frankfurt. So my name is Ottmar Kulmer. I'm a paleoanthropologist here in the Research Institute in Senckenberg, and I will guide us a little bit through the program, so the festive program today, with a series of addresses and welcomes will come up, and including also a traditional performance. That's why you see the stage covered here. And also there will be an audio message from Yuendumu. We can listen to it, and all of that will give us a little bit more insight and background of the significance of today's ceremony, not only for the cooperation of the institutions involved, but also to a very broad audience. And I will thank also the representatives from the press to be here to provide us the possibility that we can reach out with that type of ceremony and with the idea which stands behind it, which we will all learn a little bit more about it today. So, dear Excellency, Madam Ambassador of Australia, it's a great pleasure to have you here. And also, so Natasha Smith is here and will have an address for us as well. And also dear delegates of the Australian Embassy joining the ambassador coming here. And it's a great pleasure to have you here, dear Natalia Gminter from the German Foreign Office, from the Foreign Office of Germany, so Federal Foreign Office of Germany. So, and dear senior representatives and delegates of the Warlpiri community, and also dear colleagues from the Australian Institute of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Studies, dear Bernolf and Anna Eibl-Eibesfeldt to be with us here, and dear guests from and in Australia and in Frankfurt. It is a great pleasure and a great honor for us here in the Senckenberg to celebrate the return and the reconnection of cultural objects and the culture of the Warlpiri community to share with us here in Frankfurt. And it's also, in addition, it's an official start of a long collaboration, or a restart, one can say, of a very long collaboration in the Human Ethology Film Archive of Professor Irenäus Eibl-Eibesfeldt, which has been part of, or which has been, now is a part of our institutional collection since the handover of the film archive from the Max-Planck Society in 2014. So just please allow me to mention that photographs and film recordings, as you see already, will be taken during the event. And also, dear colleagues of the press, there is of course a chance for everyone to spend time with the participants together after the proceedings of the event to exchange information. And also, I want to address that there's a cultural warning, I want to say, in terms of saying that the following speeches and maybe images might contain names of Warlpiri people who are deceased. So we will open now the program with an address of our director of the Research Institute and Natural History Museum here in Frankfurt, Professor Andreas Mulsch.
Dear Australian Ambassador to Germany, Natasha Smith, dear representative of the German Federal Foreign Office, Nathalie Gminde, especially a very warm welcome to our Warlpiri elders and the members of the Warlpiri community, dear representatives of Ayatsis, colleagues, friends, and guests, welcome. It is an enormous honor to be here today. It is an event for us that is far from being usual, and I'm very happy that all of you came to support the ceremony this morning at the Senckenberg Research Institute and Natural History Museum. It is also a great pleasure to do this on, for me, a very joyful day, because it's a day of collaboration. We would like to celebrate and confirm that sharing knowledge about ourselves as humans, as human beings, our universal traits, our behaviors, will strengthen global ties, will strengthen ties between communities, and maybe even so slightly also support unity and not division, as we see it in many other places of the world at this time. We all bring our personal stories, our personal histories, memories, visions to this room today, and I think that's very important. We cover a wide range of individual relationships to the history of the Warlpiri community and the snapshots in time that are hosted as documents in our collections, and our different origins inevitably result in very personal views on objects and their meaning. There's differences, yet we all share a vision of unity and collaboration, and we share the excitement about this opportunity that arises from making stories, symbols, objects accessible to those who have a vested interest in understanding what it means to look back into your own history or into the history of mankind. We are united in the wish to make sure that this memory of humankind will be made accessible to stakeholders, to scientists alike, across borders, across ages, across different cultural and scientific backgrounds. And we feel that this day is one step on this journey. We are united in this wish, even more so as a research institution. We have a global vision for our research. We have more than 850 employees that originate from more than 50 countries. We are inherently an international institution, and we collaborate and work in more than 145 countries of this planet. So, as a representative of the research institution, I sincerely hope that a valuable piece of that history, the documentation of the Warlpiri history, is one of many steps in sharing knowledge and promoting unity. I've learned over the course of the past weeks that in this particular project, which happens with a lot of mutual respect, with the same goal, and the sincere wish to mutually support and learn from each other, we have a great advantage and benefit, and we should take advantage of this. So with great care in respecting and addressing challenges that may come up along the way, but with the common goal of making sure to obtain the best possible result, I think we have a great journey ahead of us, and I want once more express my gratitude for you being here. Thank you very much for being here. It's a great honor to open the ceremony, and I would directly like to hand over to Ambassador Smith, please.
Thank you, Professor. Could I just, do our guests want to come in to? No, they're going to wait. Okay, I just wanted to check. Sorry, no, I just wanted to check that they weren't waiting to come in. Okay, good. Okay, sorry, I don't mean to spoil the surprise. Thank you very much, Professor. And can I say g'day? Simon told me there was no guten Morgen, no good morning. It's g'day today, the best of Australia here. It is a great honour for me to be here today to bear witness to this important ceremony, but also to be part of what is a celebration. I want to recognise our German hosts, colleagues, friends from the Institute, from the German government, and dear Bernolf and your family. I also recognise our colleagues from IATSIS who do so much wonderful work in this space of cultural heritage return. And welcome to all of those who are joining us here in Frankfurt and hopefully back in Australia on live stream. But most of all, I want to recognise, welcome, and thank from the bottom of my heart the members of the Warlpiri community from Yuendumu who are here. I pay my respects to their elders, who I have had the great honour to meet yesterday and spend time with. I pay my respects to the elders past, and I pay my respects to the emerging leaders of the community, including a couple who are going to join us very shortly. We're going to hear today about the story of these cultural materials. And if there's one thing that we know about First Nations Australians, it's that they're storytellers and that their stories are powerful. Today we're going to hear the story of where these materials, these objects came from, the important role they have played in the past in ceremony for the Warlpiri people. And we're going to hear about how they came to Germany, another part of their story, the story of Bernolf and his father, and the connection that you now have to this wonderful part of our country and a wonderful community. We're going to hear the story, the part of the story about the role that the governments have played, the Institute have played in the partnership that has now been forged forward as a result of this return and this repatriation. But most importantly, we're going to hear what is often the best part of a story, the happy ending. And the happy ending of this is that these materials that mean so, so much to this community are going home. They're going home, and they're going home with the people who've come to collect them, the people who own them, and the people who are going to be the stewards of them going forward. And the return home of these artefacts isn't for them to go and be put in a museum. These artefacts are going home to be part of reconciliation. They're going to be part of transfer of knowledge and cultural practices to generations of the community, of generations of the Warlpiri people going forward. And the Warlpiri project is going to make sure that that is a story that is not only one for the community, but it is one that can be shared with the world. You just have to go to Yamundi to see it, and that's going to be special too. I'm sure this is kind of volume one, if you like, of this story, because the story will go on, and that's what's going to be so special about this, is these materials go home, they play this role, but they also are going to have a life going forward because they're going to be part of this community. They're going to be part of how this community brings back their cultural practices and how that is part of generations to come. So thank you to everyone who's been part of this. I really did, I loved yesterday afternoon. Thank you, Ned and others of the group. This has been wonderful for me to be able to meet with you. This return and the partnership that has come from it, and the partnership that is being forged as part of the connection now between the Institute and the Warlpiri project, is really inspirational. We were talking this morning about how this can be an example to others about how a return doesn't have to be the end for the institute or the museum or the collector who is giving them back, but actually can be the beginning of something much, much more rich for both sides. And it is a practical example of the connections, the people-to-people connections between Germany and Australia. And that's something that I feel very, very deeply about. So can I just say a last thank you, I suppose, for allowing me the honour of being part of this. This is an event that is so special and one that I will never forget, and I hope that all of you here will feel the same way. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Ambassador. And now I would love to invite Natalie Gmintner from the Federal Foreign Office. Thank you.
Professor Mulch, Your Excellency, senior members, Mr. Gibbs, Dr. Eibl-Eibesfeldt, distinguished guests. It is my great pleasure and honor to be here with you today at the Senckenberg Research Institute and Natural History Museum in Frankfurt, and to assist in today's handover ceremony. We are celebrating the return of Warlpiri material culture from Germany to Australia. We are also celebrating the collaboration between IATSIS and the Warlpiri Project, as was just mentioned, and the Senckenberg Leibniz Institution for Biodiversity and Earth System. This international project is paving the way for best practices in the management of important cultural heritage with a long history. And, well, to mark the occasion, a memorandum of understanding will be signed between IATSIS, the Warlpiri Project, and the Senckenberg Museum. Scientific cooperation is a wonderful example of how knowledge travels across great distances, across generations, and how it actually unites countries, communities, and cultures. Knowledge is one of the few things that actually grows when you share it. Standing here in a museum of natural history, I am reminded of a fairly well-known English polymath by the name of Sir Isaac Newton, who is believed to once have said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. What I know is because of what people before me have known." Knowledge of and by elders is important in every culture. We learn from the past, we learn from our ancestors. We learn to communicate by learning and using languages, by learning and using songs and dances. We learn by listening, we learn by looking at things, for example, in a museum. But whichever means we choose remains a universal evolutionary feature. A desire for learning is what motivates scientists such as the late Professor Irenäus Eibl-Eibesfeldt. In the 1960s, Professor Eibl-Eibesfeldt developed a cross-cultural research program on universal aspects of human behavior. He later founded the Human Ethology Film Archive, which is now part of the Senckenberg Scientific Collections. It uniquely documents the histories of people, the changes in their lives, in their living conditions, and their cultural transformation processes. The value of the documentaries from the research visit to the Warlpiri community in Yuendumu goes far beyond a merely academic use. The film recordings are unique documents that are also extremely valuable for the local community and people involved in understanding and preserving their own history. In the framework of the Warlpiri Project, these audiovisual recordings will play a key role for future research, growing our shared knowledge. However, there are not only documentaries and recordings to be found in the Senckenberg collection. When traveling to Australia, Professor Eibl-Eibesfeldt brought back with him a number of traditional Warlpiri objects. Thanks to you, Dr. Bernolf Eibl-Eibesfeldt, those 24 objects will now return to their community, their place of origin. And with the help of the mentioned recordings, memories and learnings will stay. Modern technologies fostering the transfer of knowledge into and from societies. This is an invaluable gift from one community to another. Sharing is indeed caring, as they say. Let me also take this opportunity to thank you, the Australian Ambassador to Germany, Natasha Smith, as well as the Australian Institute of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Studies, dear John. The Federal Foreign Office has a close and very trustful relationship with both the Australian Embassy and IATSIS, and we strive to have similar relationships with many other countries and communities of origin. We are committed to include communities of origin from the beginning whenever we receive a request for return of cultural objects or repatriation of human remains. With some countries, these processes are not yet very formalized. With others, namely Australia and New Zealand, for example, they are already well established. However, this still means that every return is unique. Every return is different. There can't be a one-size-fits-all approach. We therefore find ourselves in a continuous learning process. In 2019, the federal government, together with the federal states and the local authorities, published a set of joint guidelines, so-called first principles, for museums, universities, public collections, a sort of manual for returns and repatriations. These guidelines help public institutions when dealing with requests from countries and communities of origin. They are supported by the Federal Foreign Office in their communication as well as in the processes of return and repatriation. Drawing from their experience of the last 5 years, these guidelines are currently being revised, also by consulting with civil society representatives, international experts and scientists. And once finalized, hopefully by March 2025, the new version of the joint guidelines should make it clear that the German federal government enables and encourages the return of cultural artifacts and the repatriation of human remains. Ladies and gentlemen, we are celebrating many things today: learning and understanding, knowledge and cooperation, cultures and generations. We feel honored by the visit of the Warlpiri representatives here in Frankfurt, and together we celebrate the return of your cultural heritage. Thank you for sharing it with us. If we know more today, then it is because we have learned from you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Günther from the Federal Foreign Office in Berlin. So now, I would love to hand over to our dear guests from the Warlpiri community, and I will hand over to Ned Jabajimba Hargraves, who will introduce us into the ceremony our dear guests have prepared. So the men already waiting outside.
Dabo! Thank you very much. You people, are you awake? Excited? Hey, I want to say thank you so much for the brother here. Where is he? Up there. I want to say thank you for your ladies and Jabalari. I want to say thank you, each and every one of you, today, and having this opportunity to come and see us. And we're doing something very special to your people and to the country. It's because all our significant objects been here so many years, but to us it is something very important and very special to us, and to our home, to our ngora. When I say ngora, it's home, and to our children, our generations, and their generations to come. So, right, we're going to have the men do the dance, and we're gonna have the men dance, and then from there we'll do something else. Are we gonna read? All right. You're right, and that's, oh, sorry, yeah. So that was the corroboree of, we say bush potato, we say yadla, yams, yadla, bush potato. We call it yadla. So that dance, especially that particular plant and food, when we do something like this, we make them grow more so that we can produce more food to our community. Well, I want to say, especially thank you for young Jamie Hampton. Put your hand up. That's Jamie, and I want also to say thank you for Carl Hampton, who is actually being with us and who's organized us to come here, and also, what was the name? Omar. I want to say thank you for Omar that has brought us here and made it possible for us to be here. So I want to say thank you, each and every one of you. Thank you, the ambassadors. Thank you so much being here. Do you want me to read that? Yeah, Nyoro. Thank you. If you need to give a check in, you can go outside or you can meet them out here and give them welcome. Thank you, Jimmy.
So thank you, Jimba, and thank you for the whole group to be with us and showing us some traditional type of dancing. And now maybe I would love to invite Bernolf, come on stage and share some words with us, please.
Well, hello. Hello, Yuendumu. Can you hear me? We are trying to connect. Hello, Yuendumu down under, and hello, Yuendumu and Warlpiri here.
Thank you.
Ned.
Thank you.
Dan. Simon. Thank you. All of you. And, well, also the official institutions. I'm very happy to have met you yesterday when we were invited at the embassy. And I'm very happy to have you here as well, caring also for the UNESCO and World Heritage Program. We must talk about that later. So I divide my talk into a very emotional part, and I start with that, because it all started right before Christmas, and I was contacted by Jamie, and Jamie asked, is it true that you accompanied your father in '72 to Yuendumu? And I said, yes. And I said, and he said, well, do you remember something? Have you collected something? And I said, I'm so happy you called, because all of my father's collection has been given to museums in Vienna. Dr. Gabriele Herzog, she's here now, and she helped us a big lot with that. She also accompanied my father to, especially to the Yuendumu Indians in the Upper Orinoco. But that part of the collection I kept because I knew that there were items not for everybody to be seen, and that these items would have a much greater importance for those people who created them and who live with them than to me as a souvenir. So over the year, it's nearly a year, and this was, we had the first WhatsApp chat on the 23rd of December, so it was a Christmas gift for both of us to initiate that. I'm very grateful for his father, Carl Hampton, who's very much supported us, and for Ayatsis and so on. It was a big organization with Ottmar and everybody working together. Yes. So this was the near past I remember. But I remember, and even more clearly now, when I've again seen the pictures, seen the exhibits, or seen the items, let's say. It's not exhibit because we don't want to exhibit them. And when we have seen each other again, you said you've seen myself when you were a boy, and I was 18 years old then. And he studied ethnology, human anthropology. So what a change from what I've really felt at that time to be a very, very, unfortunately I must say this, a very sad experience. At that time, the Aborigines lived, they had lost a sort of sense of life and lost contact and pride. And now, with connecting with the past, we see you with such pride, people, your nation building, you're reconnecting to the future, and I'm very glad to help and be part of that process. And it was when we yesterday saw you reconnecting with the materials, making them back, making them live again, touching every item, reconnecting. This was for me a very, very unforgettable emotional experience also. And it told me that how important this is. Well, I'm still, it's still emotional for me. And I think there is this aspect of the past, and there is the aspect that this is the initiation of a big cooperation in the future. And Ned always makes this sign, which means, yeah, we're connecting, yeah, and we're gonna work together in the future, this cooperation. So why did my father do this? What was the purpose of his work? And I would like to say a few words about that, because I think it's very important. At that time, there was a large dispute in the beginnings, in the 60s, about does man have innate behavior, or can everything be changed by education? Is our natural behavior learned? Are we programmed during infancy and adulthood? Or do we appear as a tabula rasa, as an empty sheet, Or are there things we know by nature? And with men, you can't do animal experience to know that. You can't raise a person without contact to anybody else and then look what, if he does anything he can't have learned from others, so it must be inborn. There are, of course, very sad diseases, and there are deaf and blind born children. And I visited, also joined my father in Hanover, where there is such a school in the beginning of the 70s, where he studied facial expressions. And this is also, again, very emotional for me, because if you see these children, and if you see how they laugh, how they show anger, how they clutch their fists, how all these human expressions are there, and they're adequate to the situation, because one of the girls, she loved a toy, and then she smiled, and when she got angry, she made this. But of course, more complex interactions, communication, you cannot study. So, you can see if this behavior appears in our closest, let's say, relatives, the big apes. But also, the big apes are not they are not humans. So you have to study humans. And man is a cultural being. So man changes everything that is unfixed, that is culturally changeable. In New Guinea, you have, I don't know, I was told it was 900 different languages. Also, there are many different languages in Australia. So, what can be changed is changed. And he looked for the universals in behavior. So where do I find the same behavior everywhere? And this is because there were people who said, well, the Japanese have learned this a long time from the Europeans, or other way around, they do this because they have a long contact. So he had to look at people who hadn't had contact for a very long time, for 40,000 years. That's why he selected certain cultures, like the Yanomami Gabriele visited, and also I spent some time there, like the Papua New Guinea, the Papua New Guinea population, etc. pp. I won't go to everybody, Bushmen, etc. And his main interest was always also to look especially at bonding behavior. Because there was a book by Konrad Lorenz, the founder of animal ethology, with Timbergen. He got the Nobel Prize for his works. And it was called On Aggression. And he put much emphasis on the aggressive drive. And my father found and put much emphasis on bonding behavior, what counteracts aggression. And then he found greeting, and he described for the first time the eyebrow flash. Yeah. Everybody can understand this. You will find this in any culture around the world. And, well, giving gifts, mother-child behavior, etc. I won't go into this for detail. And he also was very much interested in cultural achievements, keeping peace. So, the Aboriginal population, it was said that they don't have wars. This was something that interested him very much. How do they do this? Because they are, of course, aggressive. Yeah, they hit one another, and etc. But how do they keep peace? And there comes a very important discovery that he thought, and I think I agree very much with him, that you had found a system of attachment to the territory by holy sites, by stories along these sacred places, by representing these stories with during sacred boards, with your songs, by tradition, by giving this to the next generation by tradition. So this connected you very much to your territory and made it possible to keep peace. And made it possible to keep peace, sorry. And so he was very, very much interested in that. And to conclude, he never, even to the most fierce people, went arms. But he always went with what connects. That is, with a smile, with gifts, with respect, and he was never hurt. And when you then see, and I think this is a very important message I want to give, because when you then see people who look so much different, and you maybe feel a bit taken aback, but then you see the picture, the running picture, and that person smiles. He shows or she shows flirting behavior, and all these signs, even if we don't understand the word, we understand this emotionally from the beginning. This is bringing these people who seem so strange, bringing them very close to us. And I think this is a peace project to make clear that we're all brothers and sisters all over the world. We're all human beings. And tearing down the barriers that may be from our external, from our clothes or everything, are there to connect. And so I would very much, have this initiation of this peace project, so to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bernolf, for this great explanation. So I think everyone got some insight into the whole story about the works of your father and the ideas behind. And I would love to have Ned to reply, if you like. Ned Jamba.
Yes. Thank you once again. Thank you, your people that have come a long way and come and see us. I want to say thank you so much this morning. Excuse me if I've got to read this thing because normally this is not my first language in English. This is probably the third language, but I'm going to do the best I can, okay? So bear with me. A couple of things, first of all, that ladies and gentlemen, distinguished of this museum in Germany, I want to say thank you that you have allowed us to come here. And I want to express my deepest contribution for this moment, for this very moment that I get today. So, as we witness today of our objects and the things that you looked after, and we honored, and with respect, we respect you to looking after us and looking after our objects and significant information that we have for our future children. As these things now returns back to our home, to Australia, to Ngura, my home. I call Ngura home. So that these significance, so that we can use and get our generations of our children learning their chukurpa. The chukurpa, the kuruwari. When I say chukurpa kuruwari, meaning our law, our ceremonies, and our Dreamtime stories. So that kuruwari and chukurpa is very, very important. Our law, our dreamings. That is a totem. I just tell you a little bit about me. I'm a rain dreamer, so every time you see that rain, that's me. That's me. I'm a rain chukurpa. I'm a ngapa chukurpa. So I want to leave with you that that we, Germany and us and Australia, we want to work with you. We want to work with you because we want to expand more of the outsiders to know of our culture. So, as one was saying, that we go like this. We are like this. Can I get everyone to do this? We are now connected. We're locked in. We're locked. That means, kujani, I teach you something, you teach me something. You give me something, I give you something. So it's not one way, it's both ways. I want to say thank you, Jamba Jinba, wherever you are. I want to say thank you very much for being here and having us here. And I want to just quickly, I want to say thank you for young Jamie and Carl Hampton, and also our young men who's actually allowed us to get fighters for money and all that. I might actually get Carl and Jamie and also Derek to come up and say a little bit of what they do. So, can I get Derek? Yeah. Yeah, come on. Sorry, I jumped.
Hi, everybody. My name is Derek Tabangari Womero Williams. I come from Yuendumu, which is located in Central Australia. Yeah, I'd like to firstly begin by thanking the elders who are past that kick-started this project, especially my grandfather, Harry Nelson, who was the founder of this project. Secondly, I would like to thank the elders both here in Germany and the ones back home who have provided guidance to all of us to be here. And I would like to thank Bernolf and his family for looking after objects, keeping it safe for us. And also Otmar and the team at Senckenberg Museum here. And we appreciate that the care you have provided to keeping our special objects safe. And we really look forward to taking them back home to be a part of the community again. These objects are significant to our culture, aspects of our people, and how we use these objects during our ceremonies. It will bring emotions and goosebumps to all of the Warlpiri tribe and the families of Jimmy Jungarrayi Spencer and Banjo Jungarrayi Tex. I am relieved that these objects are returning back home to their rightful home. And finally, I'd like to thank Jamie, who's behind everything. Like, he's been really good, understanding and looking after everything and looking up all these objects that are all over Australia. And and also I'd like to thank IATSIS for their support on this trip. Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Jamie Hampton. I'm a young Warlpiri man working on the Warlpiri project with my elders. And firstly, I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who's worked hard to make this possible, to the Senckenberg Museum for being such gracious hosts this week, but for also caring and safeguarding our significant collections for many years, and we look forward to continuing this important partnership going forward. I'd also like to say thank you to IATSIS, Ian, John, Isaiah, for all the hard work you've put into this project, and it's been an honour working alongside you. I think at the start of this project, we were sort of all over the place, but we came together, and I think there was actually a point where we were juggling 5 different time zones, but everyone has been on the same page, and it's been an honour to be a part of it all. It was last December when I managed to get in contact with Bernolf through a little bit of luck and fate, and this was after many hours researching about your father's trip to Yuendumu in 1972. We then spoke on FaceTime, but little did I know at that time the amazing journey we would embark on. I now stand here 12 months later with my elders and with you all to celebrate the significant repatriation and collaboration that will last a lifetime. I'd also like to thank Bernolf and his family for caring for our objects for many years, and because of that, they can now be reconnected with the Warlpiri people back home. I also wanted to share a little bit around the Warlpiri project. It was nearly 6 years ago when we started this project, and at that time we had no idea how important and significant this project would become. Through this project and repatriation, we have restored pride and united our people in the community of Yuendumu. We have also opened many doors for not only Warlpiri people, but Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people back home in Australia. This is something Warlpiri people are very proud of, and Warlpiri people have been leaders in the repatriation space for a very long time, working with museums and cultural institutions since the early 1980s, not only to return significant objects back home, but to help museums gain a better understanding of our culture and cultural heritage collections. We stand here today continuing on this legacy and journey that our ancestors started many years ago. As a young Warlpiri man, I am honoured to be able to stand up here today. I am honoured to be able to stand with my elders, and I hope that I inspire other young Warlpiri people in the future and many years to come. Lastly, I would just like to thank my Warlpiri elders, some who are here today and others who could not travel and are back home. The elders here today have travelled more than 20 hours on a plane and more than 16,000 kilometres to stand here and welcome home our significant objects. I would not be here without your guidance and leadership. I thank you all, and I look forward to working with you for many years to come. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Jamie, and now Jamie's father, Karl, will take over here.
It won't be too long. Thank you. Yeah, I sort of thought about what I was going to say. A lot of things have been said already by other speakers. I sort of staring at those photos there and just made me think, our ancestors, they're our heroes. You know, what they've been through. But anyway, from the oldest living culture in the world, I just ask to lend your ears for a few minutes. There's a really famous song in Australia by a man called Paul Kelly. It's about Aboriginal land rights and the struggle from a Kurdiji elder, Vincent Lingiari. If you haven't got the song, get it. It's called From Little Things, Big Things Grow. And as Jamie alluded to, we didn't think we'd come to Germany. We didn't think we would do 30 trips in 5 years, repatriate hundreds of objects, because we didn't know what was there. But we think the elders did that for a reason, because they knew that one day their descendants would come and pick it up. So I'm not going to talk too much more about the Warlpiri project, but it's intergenerational, it's nation building, and it's about self-determination. We're rebuilding our community, our nation through repatriation. This is why we started it first, through repatriation. We know the success, we know why we're successful. And that's because we work through our cultural authority, through our skin groups, through our elders, and the decision-making, a collective decision-making, is done in every important matter. The 16 skin groups, 8 male, 8 female. That's how we operate our ceremony, and now that's how we want the Australian government to recognise that traditional Warlpiri governance model in being the front door for government. We have to change things. The gap's not closing. So that's the success. Community control, respecting Aboriginal law and traditional governance systems. For us, it's about embracing the spirit of reconciliation and truth-telling. This is why we're going to sign an MOU today with Senckenberg, because we want to work directly with you, not through anyone else, together as partners. We're doing the same next week with the Grazi Museum. That's how we want to operate as the Warlpiri Nation. Just to the Warlpiri leaders and elders that have travelled, I'm so proud of them. They're great ambassadors for their people, but for Australia. To the government dignitaries here, we want to work with you as well around tourism, training. Part of the aspiration is to build our cultural centre. We've got some money to kickstart that, but we want to work with the people of Germany. We want to partner with you around museum work, training our young people, and tourism. Finally, just want to acknowledge, as many people have already, but it's well deserved to mention them again, to Bernolf and his father. Thank you very much. It's a great Christmas gift, wasn't it? And to my son, obviously, very proud of him. When we do our work, we do it intergenerationally, fathers, sons, grandfather, grandsons. That's how we operate. That's how we do it. But Germany may be different. That's okay. Anyway, without those two men, Bernolf and Jamie, we wouldn't be here, to be honest. Thanks to Ian and the team from IATSIS, to Minister Bernie and our Minister McCarthy. They also provide funding for our project, but also to GMAC back home in Yuendumu. We support and we fund all our trips with our own money. That's part of the success. Self-determination. We do it ourselves. We want to go somewhere, we do it. Obviously, we need good friends. So I'll leave it at that. Again, thank you to everyone. Otmar, your staff have been fantastic this week. We've big clap. I think we've rearranged a few things. We turned the meeting room into an art centre. But hey, that's it. Thanks very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all so much so far. There's another address by Simon Fischer. He wants to say a couple of words to us. Please, Simon, come to the microphone.
Thank you, Germany. Distinguished guest, ambassador, and my friend, Bernolf. You call me a little boy, now I'm a grown-up man. I'm a researcher in my own right. I have a master's degree. The first anthropology was a German anthropology, was Strella 100 years ago. That's why I started researching, and then I connected with this State Library Museum, and this is my second year overseas in Germany because my professor took me to Portugal. So then I started realizing it. The Berlin War, a lot of connections. That's why I want to thank Jamie. Connection with that museum, with Bernolf and the family, and a lot of collaboration, when I move on, like I always say, Chukurba portfolio is a metaphor. So we need to, collaborate, like I always said to my family, self-esteem empowerment. So I learned the knowledge and the philosophy, both worlds. It took me, challenge it, go to the other side of the world. This is the first time in Germany. I noticed, how come it's cold? Then I realized, how come I noticed a bit of the moist thing, how come it might be the continent looking at the North Pole, eh? Yeah, but when I'm there in the desert, I'm a bit sweat, 40 degrees hotter. I think I'll bit used to the weather, see? So thank you very much, and thank you for generous hospitality. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Simon. And now I want to invite John Gibbs from, so he's the Executive Director for Research and Education at IATSIS. He want to give us some words on the Return of Cultural Heritage program from IATSIS, I guess so. Please, John.
Thanks, Otmar. Hard acts to follow, I must say, very hard acts to follow. I think I've scribbled all over my speech. But look, can I begin by acknowledging the Warlpiri elders and representatives from the Warlpiri Project, both here in Frankfurt but also back home in Australia. Thank you for your tireless advocacy for the return of Warlpiri cultural heritage over many years. Without your efforts, today's return would not have been possible, so thank you. I pay my respects to you, your elders past and present, your ancestors and those who have crafted the treasures that will be returned to you today. I would also like to acknowledge esteemed guests. I believe Nelson Tex is potentially online back in Yuendumu. I hope he's been successful in joining us, so it sounds like he has been. Obviously, my Commonwealth colleague, Australian Commonwealth colleague, Natasha Smith, as the Australian Ambassador to Germany. Bernolf, I feel like you're part of the family now. I think we've noticed that if this was day one, I think it'd be different, but you feel like very much you're part of the family, so thank you. Professor Eibl-Eibesfeldt Welch, thank you so much for your hospitality. We've felt so welcome to the days we've been here. We're looking forward to continuing the collaboration. And Natalie G. Minor, thank you. Thank you, and support from the Government of Germany for this return. Distinguished guests, we are a long way from Warlpiri country. The Warlpiri word for country is Nura. In and around the Tanami Desert, so if you get a chance, have a look at how remote that is in Australia, and a small town, Yuendumu, in Australia's Northern Territory. The treasures that we're focusing on this morning's event have been away for country for over half a century. For those of you that haven't met me yet, my name is John Gibbs. I'm a Wiradjuri man from central western New South Wales. I'm also, as mentioned, the Executive Director of the Research and Education Group within the Australian Institute of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Studies, IATSIS. This year, I'm proud to say IATSIS celebrates our 60th anniversary. We at IATSIS are very aware of the powerful impact programs such as the Return of Cultural Heritage program means for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, and I think you've seen it firsthand this week and today. I offer my sincere gratitude to the Warlpiri Project representatives, Bernolf, and everyone from the Institute here who, alongside IATSIS, has worked closely with the Warlpiri community to make this return possible. The return of any cultural heritage material takes time, respectful dialogue and goodwill between peoples of different cultures. This is something we at IATSIS understand. That's why the IATSIS-led Return of Cultural Heritage program centres on Australia's First Nations people. That's why we honour the voices of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. That is why the Return of Cultural Heritage program has been so successful. Since its inception in 2018, we have seen the return of more than 2,200 significant cultural items that have been collecting institutions from across Europe, Asia, North America, South America, the Middle East, Oceania, as well as private collections globally. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples care deeply about the repatriation of cultural heritage material. When cultural heritage material is returned, reconciliation, as mentioned earlier, is supported, the transfer of knowledge is strengthened, and truth-telling and healing from one generation to the next is enabled. The maintenance and revitalisation of the world's oldest continuous cultures is supported. Sometimes this requires collectors and collecting institutions to change the way they think about cultural material in their care, to change their relationship to that material. And I think, as Bernolf talked about today, you got to experience what that looks like from an Aboriginal perspective in Australia. Look again to Bernolf and to those of you here in the Institute who have cared for these artefacts, I say this. Your return of these items of cultural significance to the Warlpiri Project and Yuendumu community marks a new beginning. You have taken the first step in building a new relationship with the children and grandchildren of those who crafted these beautiful, functional and spiritual objects from the stone, wood and pigments of Warlpiri country. And that is something to be celebrated and cherished and supported. We are also here to celebrate the gift of unique video footage taken in Yuendumu some 50 years ago. You're right, Nelson? You're right. Is that all right? We pause for a second. You're all right. Let's give me a sec. As mentioned, we're also here to celebrate the gift of unique video footage taken in Yuendumu 50 years ago. 300 hours of never-before-seen footage is in the process of being digitised for the Warlpiri people. Once the digitisation of this footage is complete, the Warlpiri people will be able to connect with their aunties and uncles, the Warlpiri elders of generations past. And through this digitised medium, those aunties and uncles of Yuendumu in the 1970s can share their cultural knowledge with future generations of the Warlpiri community. I mentioned earlier that IATSIS celebrates a significant milestone, its 60th year anniversary. IATSIS was established in Canberra with a remit that reflected the perceptions of the 1960s Australia. Its remit was to record Aboriginal cultures and I quote, before those traditions perished in the face of European ways. Well, they were wrong. This morning's event shows just how wrong they were. IATSIS now reflects the resilience of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australians and serves to support cultural revitalisation and resurgence. In closing, these artefacts at the heart of today's handover ceremony will be temporarily held on their return to Australia at the South Australian Museum. This is at the request of the Warlpiri community who are planning, as mentioned, to build a new cultural centre in Yuendumu. Once the centre is complete, the artefacts will be permanently held there in the heart of Yuendumu community. Again, thank you to everyone who has played a part in making this return of this significant cultural heritage material possible. My hope is that today's return will spark many conversations across Germany and also across Europe. Conversations about the return of cultural heritage, conversations involving Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander traditional custodians and IATSIS, conversations with collecting institutions and private collectors, conservations that build new relationships between peoples, conservations that bring us closer together and lead the future return of more Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander treasures to country. And thank you for your time. Thanks.
Thank you so much, John, and all the others for now. But at this moment, we want to connect. We've learned about connection, and there's another connection we want to now fulfill with what's happening? Sorry. Okay, there is a change in program. Don't worry about that. As some others. So we're going to continue now. So the connection is present, as I know, but we're not going to have the greetings for some reason now from Yuendumu on that side. But what we do is we can have And there's one point I want to mention now, which is in the connection of the return of the objects. And we have learned a lot already about the film archive, and Bernolf has told us a lot of details about it and the interests and ideas of his father. So I'm not going to repeat what you have said, but what I want to mention in that context definitely is that with the work of your father and the transfer of the material to the Senckenberg into the scientific collection of Senckenbergs, so we have there are several ideas and interests and tasks to fulfill concerning that film archive. There are several aspects to consider. There is a research aspect, there is an ethical aspect, there's political aspects, and there is, of course, there is also the aspect of preservation of the materials. So we want to preserve that materials, and that's one of the most important backgrounds of the MOU, which was mentioned several times today, but also of the continuing project beside the traditional very significance and importance. We want to make that film archive open to the world, basically, in different communities, for the scientific community, for the nations involved, for the communities involved, and also showing that showing the content of Professor Eibl-Eibesfeldt in terms of what it is all about all of us as humankind, as one species, together, sharing a lot of details and biology aspects and traditions and cultures as we have learned. And while doing that, it is quite challenging. You may do not know what's behind going on in terms of legal ethics and things like that. There's a lot of different laws. We have to find a way to combine and interact with those different perspectives and views on audiovisual material, for example. But that means we all keen about now, and I think we have formed a team here, all together, from Australia to Frankfurt, to the family, from history to the modern, and this is a reconnection. This is a reconnection, actually, based on a long-lasting project idea of Professor Eibl-Eibesfeldt, and together even with the Max-Planck-Institut, so the former, let's say, institution who made also lots of research possible on that aspect. So we want to connect all the stakeholders, basically, all stakeholders, and I'm pretty sure we have now find a way for a great foundation. So that is also an aspect, that's the second aspect, because of the significance of the return of the objects, that we now, being here also to celebrate the re-begin of a long-lasting, I heard also everlasting project here, being together and sharing even access requests for material, and things like that. So that's our task to fulfill for the next months and years, to work on all details. And one last sentence is about that everything is individual, even in the film archive. So that means from this particular project, which is one of the most important examples for how to find a protocol to deal with all those aspects behind that. And that is for us also very appreciating, and we are very pleased again and honored that we found a way to bring this group together and different institutions and individuals who have interest and see the importance in all those different directions we have all mentioned, heard about this morning. So now I want to bring that group on stage now, with all the parties involved, with everyone, so we can have a group photo here on stage all together. And also we will, of course, one particular moment, we will have to sign a couple of, or collect a couple of signatures this morning for a couple of papers, yeah. There will be also a certificate on the in memoriam of that event, because it's a unique event, and it's also from the Senckenberg side, one of the first events, or if the first events for signing something like this, you know, in terms of a long-lasting cooperation. Yeah. So please, Karl and the group, come on stage again, and also I want to invite our respective guests here to come, distinguished guests. Please come on stage for a group photo together and stay together. And,
Is it, you're going to sign the MOUs now?
we sign it after the photo. So, and after the photo, so we are at almost at the end of the proceedings now, which means that after the photo, we're going to start the signatures of the documents. And then after that, you guys, everyone here in that hall is invited to engage, yeah, with each other and with all of the group. And therefore also then there's the chance for the press to engage with the Warlpiri people and with all of us. And having some drinks in between is also a good idea. So please come on stage first for the end of this celebrating morning. Ich muss jetzt gucken, dass man niemand vergisst. Ja.
Yeah, the botanical garden.
Why we?
Some sort of eucalyptus, but
This is what you use.
well, we use the gum leaves. So I don't know what sort of eucalyptus this is. Might be a bit different. Normally it's the gum leaves. Because when it dries, you can hear it make that noise. So yeah, gum leaves. This is the native flower. Yeah, we call it wamalu. Yeah. Normally we use the white cockatoo, you know the cockatoo, that wear the bodies in the shop with the little feathers here. But normally it's white cockatoo feathers. But they're the longer ones.
Yeah, man, it's very cool. Snakes. It's like snakes. And that, there is this kind of like sword stuff. Oh. I don't know, but this is like cool. But there is different shapes.
Yeah, we'll let the men know.
Yeah, I think it's
Stand behind here. Someone want to get a photo in front with the shields and us? Yeah. One on this side. Gonna grab one? We'll grab one for you. Wanna hold one? So that's his tukapa, he's the owner. Anybody else get a photo? Well then. Want to hold that? All right, so we've got someone to get a photo with us?
Yeah.
You're welcome. Anybody else want to get a photo? Yeah? Anyone else want to jump in? I'll try to get someone to take a picture. Someone's going to take a photo. Looking at the camera. Thank you. So this one's rain. He's a rainmaker. He makes rain. So this is his tukapa.
so fine.
Dreaming. Rain. Flat.
Eventually, what is the reason?
I think these two. So these two that they returned and then
Ja. Und, hat's geklappt?
So these ones were part of the collection. We just had to
Nee.
Anyone else want to get a photo? Anybody else? Yeah? Do you want to hold?
Also Anja kann keine Fotos machen. Möchtest du noch mal Fotos machen? Ja, ich bin nicht drauf. Anja hat ja wieder Fotos gemacht.
Ja.
Ja. Für weiß ich jetzt, was das ist. Was denn? Das ist eine Wüstenblume, die pink ist, dann gelb wird und dann ernten die ab und die nehmen sie für Zeremonien, tun sie auch oft legen sie auch oft auf die Objekte und so. Das ist gar nicht so weich, wie es aussieht. So frisch.
Wir machen jetzt auch an.
Anybody else want a photo?
Yes, we want one photo.
Come
One
in.
thing, Christina. One inclusive
Which one do you want to hold? Which one do you want to hold?
I don't know.
Which one do you like? All right. Oh, look at it. Oh. Anybody else?
Yeah, that must be.
All right. Where are we looking? That one? Thank you. yellow one. Somehow I think this is the same, but then the thing is, if you remove the black, when you go to one side, those guys generally this one here is the hole, the water hole, like the water hole, the black snake. Another one came along. Ganda. This one like yeah, you can, yes. You guys want to hold it to take a photo? Yeah, welcome. This one represents thunder. Thunder and lightning. And this is the storm, the rainman. Yeah, I think it's like defending itself with the sea.
Like the snakes. Yeah, man, the snakes are insane. How waterproof these are. Yeah, man. Also, how they are painted, like it must be the dots are fingerprinted. Yeah. What do you think? These small dots? Good camera.
You want to take a photo?
It's cool. I was just so curious. Do these boomerangs work? If you throw?
They work. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. That's and then why they have different shape?
Then before that, it's got a spirit inside it. So we sing. We sing it to make it work.
Okay.
And then we sing it. After singing, the wind comes behind me.
Okay.
And then use it with the wind. Flows with the wind. Or if it's against the wind, do the same process. Sing it, and it hits the target.
And this is for
hunting, could be defending, or making fire. We ground it against one another.
Okay.
With the kangaroo brew, and then fire make.
That's so multi-use. Total. Well, at what distance you can hit something?
We can hit maybe say 50 meters. It depends if you got the wind behind you, you can hit it far behind you.
That's insane because it looks good. And there are also this one is more different.
Seven.
And it's also to throw. Okay, like a axe.
Yeah.
I see. Wow, they're very impressive. And this is printed. It's some rare. Oh, okay.
It's from a tree. Okay.
This is for drawing spear. Yeah, this one is for drawing. Fine.
Und das Symbols for what?
That was wow. Yes. That's the most. That's wow. And these drawings, I mean, they are essence like the snakes. Yeah, but this represents also like the rain. It's my friend. This one represents raining. Rain. Yeah, one rain. And here also. Okay. Yes. And this one. It's very dry. It's also here. Yeah. Start maybe next month. We're going to start on the survey. Also get all the skips. And this is freeze. And this is but you guys live right in the middle of the spring, right in the center. Very good. But when it's dry, we use these objects, and in the ceremony, dance when it rains. It rains to flood out all the roads coming from the side.
Okay, I see. Because that's a big problem to find the right, so
that's how we survive.
Okay.
Without many generations.
So this could, I never been to Central Australia, but yeah, maybe. But you're far from. I mean, center in Sand Springs.
Alice Springs, yes.
Yes.
With 2 hours out of the community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how big is the nation?
The community is populated with 800 people in the community. It's really big. Second biggest in the Northern Territory.
I see. Wow. Okay. That's cool. It's nice. How long have you been staying in Germany?
Maybe next week, and then we fly back on the 1st of November back to Australia.
Ah, cool. What are you gonna visiting some place around here?
I would love to visit, but we are holding tight to following what's written in the calendar.
Okay.
We're doing this.
A lot of official stuff.
Yes. A lot of media, a lot of good to talk about.
Okay.
Feel free time to have it in the afternoon. We'll do something, maybe tea.
Yeah.
Call it early night. Because I've got family calling from Australia.
Oh, of course.
At that time it's midday, and here it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still in bed.
Yeah. It cannot be farther, I think, right? It's not exactly the same. That's cool. But thanks for all the info.
You're welcome.
It's very cool. To learn from, direct from you. You know the stuff. So that's good. Thanks, hey. Have a good time. See you around. Enjoy your stay. It's nice to meet you. No worries.
Just get a photo, you're right?
Oh no, thank you. I think it's really interesting to look, but I don't know. Take a photo.
Just amazed.
All the same tribe together, one community.
Take a photo.
Just amazed.
All the same tribe together, one community. Our place is called Yuendumu. Maybe 900 people.
Okay.
On the edge of the desert, Tanami-Wüste desert.
Yeah, I see. Wow.
Right in the middle of the strait.
That's beautiful. Well, one day maybe if I come around.
Well, you think of Alice Springs in the middle, Uluru, the big rock.
Yeah.
We're a bit north.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you come to Alice Springs, Uluru, you seen Uluru, the big rock?
Yes.
Yeah. It's not far. We're a bit further north of the country.
That some people require.
That's a white man's name. All I know is
Okay.
but we changed it to Aboriginal name.
Okay.
Uluru.
Okay, I see. Okay, well, that's
A lot of things are changing, names and recognition for everything.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, I never seen it. I've never been there, but it's
If you ever do, go to Alice Springs and ask about Yuendumu.
I was only one time in Australia in my life, and I was like, yeah, let's go to Europe. And we were on one side of the country, and then we see the map, and it's like, it's not like Cuba. It's like 3 days drive straight. You know? So it's like
From the community to the next town is maybe 4 hours drive.
Wow. Okay, yeah, it's not easy.
Really hard, tough life.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah.
Nice
Thank
to
you
meet
for coming.
you. See ya.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want any of them or you? This one? Oh, this one is bush tomato. Bush tomato. Hey? You eat it. It's a flower that gets ripe into a tomato, you eat it, so you hold it. Hold it like that, yep. Hold it out front. Yeah, you've got to show it. Show it off, just watch your face. Hold it like that. Hold on. Get another one. Hold this one. You've got to show it off, see? You've got to put it out. No worries, you're welcome. Thank you for coming. Not Joe. Not Joe. Yeah, not Joe. How was it? Well done, well done. You just got straight up.
Ja, genau. Die hat gesagt, ich soll den Regenmann annehmen. Der Regenmann ist